Hello, authors. I'm freelance fiction editor Miranda Darrow with my weekly video about writing, editing, and the writing life. This week, I'm reviewing the writing craft book, The Power of Point of View by Alice Raisley. I had a large collection of writing craft books, and I post a review of one of them each month. I chose this one because POV is pretty important to the genre that I focused on earlier in this month, which was Spanish saga. But this book and this video will apply for any fiction genre. So let's talk about Alicia's Raisley's The Power of Point of View. Make your story come to life. Many resources for writers discuss point of view or POV, but one of the most comprehensive and enduring guides is this one. It was first published in 2008. And so the book does not actually reflect current market trends or recent bestsellers. So I wouldn't look for this for guidance on POV choices on what's really hot right now. Where this book shines and continues to hold value is in its clear, thoughtful breakdown of why POV works the way it does, the strengths and weaknesses of different approaches, and advanced narrative problems that often trip up writers. This is the fundamental book in the best sense of the word. And fundamentals, especially when it comes to POV, do age well. POV is often invisible until it isn't. One of the biggest differences I notice when talking about books with readers versus talking about books with writers is POV awareness. Writers are trained to see POV everywhere. Readers, even avid readers, who go through 100 books a year, often don't consciously register POV, but they feel it. When writers say, the story felt jumpy, I couldn't quite connect to the main character, I was confused about whose story this was, these are often indications of a POV problem, but it's wearing a different mask because readers don't always focus on POV. Racely makes the point early and often. POV isn't just a technical choice, it's the lens through which readers experience everything. When that lens is unstable, inconsistent, or poorly matched to the story being told, readers can lose immersion, even if they can't articulate why. As Racely puts it, POV determines who tells the story and how much the reader is allowed to know. That decision controls intimacy, suspense, tone, and emotional investment long before plot mechanics come into play. POV is a foundational story choice. One of Raisley's most useful framing ideas is her assertion that POV should be the second major decision a writer makes when drafting a story. First, create vivid characters with strong motivations placed in meaningful conflict. Second, decide which POV or POVs best allow readers to experience that conflict. This is an important distinction. The POV should be chosen because not because it feels fashionable, familiar, or easier. It should be chosen because it best serves the emotional core of the story, the information that the reader needs or doesn't need, and the kind of relationship you want to have between the readers and the character. Racely repeatedly assures writers POV is not a life sentence. You can revise it later. But starting with an intentional choice serves an enormous amount of tedious revisions. I've done this myself, and I know it's a pain, as POV impacts pronouns, verb case, it can even impact verb tense. It's a huge hassle that can be avoided if you land on the story's ideal POV before you've written your whole first draft. What POV does for story. Racely lays out a clear list of what POV can accomplish when used well. In my experience as an editor, this list doubles as a diagnostic checklist when something isn't working. POV can give readers a vicarious experience of events, by allowing readers to question the narrator's choices, logic, or emotional blind spots. It can increase reader identification, making the character's goals feel personal. It can control information flow, concealing or revealing knowledge to build suspense. It can differentiate characters, especially in a multiple POV narrative. It can create subtext by showing tension between what a character says or does and what they really feel. That last point is especially important because POV isn't just about access to thoughts, it's about contrast. When internal narration contradicts outward behavior, the story gains depth. This is where voice, character, arc, and POV intersect most powerfully. One of Raisley's most helpful conceptual tools is her distinction between social novels and personal novels. Personal novels focus primarily on the inner experience of a central protagonist, whereas social novels examine a group, community, or system with attention distributed across multiple characters. This distinction helps clarifies why certain POVs feel more natural in certain stories. Social novels often benefit from omniscient POV, rotating limited POV, or a wider more distant narrative distance. Personal novels, on the other hand, usually thrive in close first person or tight third person limited. As Risley notes, the closer the POV, the more the story relies on subjective experience rather than external objective observation. This framework is especially useful for romance writers. While romance is often classified as personal, it frequently includes dual protagonists, each requiring their own POV. Not always, but often. Raisley's non judgmental inclusion of romance examples throughout the book is refreshing and still rare in writing craft resources. What are some of the strengths and pitfalls of major POV types? The bulk of the Power of POV is devoted to examining first person, third person limited, third person omniscient, and experimental approaches. Rather than declaring winners, Raisley focused on trade offs. There are advantages and disadvantages for all POV choices. First person POV offers immediacy but limits scope. Omniscient allows breadth but risks emotional distance. Multiple POVs can increase complexity but demand rigorous control. And be mindful to avoid POV slippage, moments when the narrative drifts into a perspective the story hasn't earned. These slips often happen unintentionally, especially in scenes with high emotional stakes. POV should be consistent with this scene, even if it changes across scenes or chapter breaks. Breaking that rule without clear intention can weaken reader trust, and editors like me will likely flag it as dreaded head hopping. Raisley also addresses some advanced POV issues, including frames, distance, and narrative authority. Raisley's later chapters uh, tackle these topics, and it also includes authorial intrusion. Raisley encouraged writers to think carefully about who is telling the story and why. A framed narrative, such as a story told in retrospect, creates a different reader experience than one unfolding in real time. Neither is inherently better, but each carries implications for suspense and emotional payoff. As she notes, every POV choice answers the question, how close do you want the reader to be to the truth? My final thoughts, why this book still matters. Despite its relative age, the power of point of view remains one of the clearest, most thoughtful explorations of POVs available to writers. It doesn't chase trends, it doesn't oversimplify, and it doesn't treat POV as a mere formatting choice. Instead, Risley treats POV as what it truly is, a storytelling strategy that shapes through every reader's experience. For writers struggling with connection, clarity, or narrative cohesion, POV is often the hidden lever. This book won't tell you which POV to use, but it will help you understand why your choice matters and how to use it with intention. For that reason alone, it earns a permanent space on my recommended writing craft shelf. Be sure to like and subscribe. This is freelance fiction editor Miranda Darrow wishing you happy writing!